The Reaper's Trust. Chapter 1. Seeds. A chuckle resonated. Charles laughed, walking aside from the balcony. Violet watched him with wide eyes. She was in complete disbelief at his reaction. He mocked her concerns, making her clench her teeth and narrow her eyes. The cascading moonlight fell on her like a lonely spotlight, brightening her pallid skin. She hurried out of the pale radiance, following the divine king inside. "They're hurting me. Why are you laughing?"
"It is not your pain which I find amusing," Charles replied. He twirled a lock of his white hair as he strode through the hallway. "It is your unwillingness to better your situation." Violet lowered her head as she followed her mentor. She walked in silence, passing every bookcase and candle that lined the walls. Dim cerulean light emanated from small magic flames, and grimoires filled every shelf. Violet felt comfortable there, but the king's words fought against that. The urge to argue was strong, but she resisted. Instead, she looked towards him. His slender form, his graceful walk, his motions surrounded him with an air of confidence. The elaborate flowing tailcoat and shimmering jewelry was proof of his high status. There was no mage mightier than Charles, and his wings, those wings, how Violet longed to see them. Wings were the glorious mark of deities. Charles, being the ruler of all, had 6. He was everything Violet wanted to be, yet his words caused her only to clench her fists and huff. "Do you know I'm right? Is that why you say nothing?" Charles stopped and turned to face his student. His voice was soft, drifting against Violet's ears the way wind ruffles leaves. "No, I'm not saying anything because you've taught me not to. I'm supposed to just keep calm and deal with everything myself." Violet straightened, almost as tall as the king. She looked deeply into his eyes, staring past their turquoise hue. "But I'm starting to not accept that." Charles sighed. "Violet, you know I cannot interfere with the lives of those I watch. You have my pity, and I'm sorry they've bothered you. But that's your trial to face." Violet thought she heard a faint snap inside her. She lurched forward. "You took everyone from their homeworlds and brought them here, and now you're saying you can't interfere?" "I gathered those I thought had potential to be deities. This world on which you all live is a test, dear, and I must see how everyone progresses and handles their hardships so that I may one day select the god or goddess of the next world I'm creating." Charles explained. A note of exasperation lined his voice. "If I were any more than a spectator, the purpose would be entirely defeated." "I know that. You've said this all before, but I still don't understand. You've affected my life, but that doesn't seem to be a problem," Violet argued. "You're my protege, a separate circumstance. Even here, I only affect your studies of magic. That's exactly what I'm telling you. I can give you advice, but I will not solve your problems for you." Violet's chest felt tight. Her admiration for the king was faltering, and it felt like the very ground she stood on had shifted. His reasoning made sense, but she couldn't help but feel betrayed. "But they're hurting me, Charles. They threaten me, and if I don't use my magic for them, they won't hesitate to follow through." "And that is an unfortunate circumstance, but I've already told you to lay low with your talents." "It's too late for that. They already know, and they already use me." Violet narrowed her eyes. "What am I supposed to do? You tell me not to respond with hatred, so I don't. I surrender and let it happen. But then they get away with their wrongdoings. What solution is there?" "A solution you must find yourself," Charles answered. Violet growled under her breath. The king's cryptic words drove her to walk past him, but he lightly took her shoulder and turned her around. He led her back to the balcony where the cold breeze caressed her face and drifted through her lilac locks. The night air soothed her, and she opened her mind again. "I do what I can for you, for everyone. Look below," Charles cooed, gesturing to the ground. Far down rested rows of gardens and nature, life spiraling around the humble cottages that slept under the starlight. "Though this world is a test, I built it with all my love for those here. Crops are plentiful and free. so long as you harvest them yourself. Violet sighed, turning her gaze away. I know, and I haven't forgotten that, she muttered. No one here is required to work, yet people do. This world is paradise, in truth. You all have free shelter, food, water, sunlight. So then, haven't you ever wondered why there are medics, messengers, hunters? Charles raised an eyebrow at his student, smirking slyly. Among other things, I know. Violet shook her head. It is weird. They don't have to do any of that. But they do, because it gives them a sense of accomplishment. Perhaps you should find your place here instead of locking yourself in your cottage all day. Violet stiffened at the thought. But my studies. The king laughed. Save those for our time, he said. Do something else in the day. Don't treat me like a child. This is what I meant when I said your unwillingness to better your situation is amusing, dear. Others will respect you more if you pull your own weight. They'll think twice about using you for your magic. Charles winked at Violet, an action that made her feel more humiliation than assurance. Although Violet struggled to believe her mentor, she shook her head and sighed. I'll see what I can do. I'm just so afraid to even go outside. When I pass those people, they look at me like I'm a tool. She rubbed her arm, refusing eye contact with Charles. That isn't everyone, though. You get along with Jueva, don't you? Why not visit him? I have to, anyways, for my bruises, Violet growled. Instantly, she regretted the comment. Perhaps she was acting childish. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated. The king chuckled warmly and rubbed his student's shoulder. You needn't apologize. It's late. Get some rest for now, he said softly. At last a smile crept onto Violet's face. She looked Charles over. He appeared so young and beautiful, a sharp contrast to his wisdom and skills. I guess you learn a lot when you're immortal, she laughed. A few things. The king shrugged with a wry grin. Violet bid her mentor good night and tapped into her magic. Teleporting back to her small home, she vanished from the balcony in a flash of blue energy.